Okay, so good afternoon all of you. So yesterday we reached till Government of India Act 1909 and I discussed what were the provisions of Government of India Act. It introduced representative element, yes, direct elections, and in terms of devolution of legislative powers, there was a devolution. Members can bring resolutions, etc. But what was the wrong thing in Government of India Act 1909? Communal electorate. Okay, and it failed to satisfy. Did it satisfy national aspirations? It could not satisfy, and it was more for the strengthening of British Raj. Okay, so I gave you one statement that Government of India Act 1909 neither what था? Neither offer any answers to the questions that satisfy Indians, nor it could offer. So what will you write in this answer? You know Government of India Act, background, everything you know. So what will you write in this answer? Government of India Act 909 neither offered any answer to the questions. What were the questions or demands of Indians? Purna Swaraj in 1909, dominion status, responsible government. Okay, why it could not offer? Because of the interest, colonial interest. ठीक है? तो suppose we have to write in 150 words. How will you write it? What will be the introduction? Government of India Act 1909. What will be the introduction of this question? समझ में आया क्वेश्चन? 1909 भी अब बस आंसर फॉर्म में लिखना रह गया है. लिखो. क्या लिखोगे इंट्रोडक्शन में? Pardon? What is it? Okay. Tell me na what is it? Huh? There were series of acts, and don't write if they are telling something doesn't mean they are right. Okay. Just because they are speaking, don't write. Okay. So you will say there were series of acts. Fine. After that, what will you write? No. There were series of acts. Do you think your statement is complete? You want to say something? Say something. Okay. Brought by British government. You will give example also. For example, Regulating Act and all. This is how he will start. Any other way of starting? You will not start like this. Okay. You tell what was What was it? Tell na. What you don't know about that act? Okay. So you want to start Government of India Act came in the backdrop of rising nationalist consciousness. Any other idea of starting this answer? You are completing, or I am saying any other way you will start? Huh?
The above statement signifies the importance of India to British Empire, and for that, and to keep control, it brought many acts, and Government of India Act.
He's saying that this statement, he will start the introduction. The statement shows the significance of Government of India Act, Government of India, significance of India for British, and then to keep it under their control. They brought many acts.
And Government of India Act 1909
is one of them. You will start. It was an introduction 1, 2, 3, introduction number 4. You will start immediately. It was an act which introduced the representative institutions. This you will put question to the examiner. No. So you framed any line? No. So out of all these ideas, which idea you think is, suppose you are an examiner, which idea you think is better? First idea. Government of India Act came in the backdrop of rising nationalist consciousness. Okay, this makes a good sense. It was an act which introduced representative institutions. How is this a start? You tell me, why do you think that we should start like this?
When they started controlling, they started marginalizing extremists by means of giving opportunities of.
When you start like this, the reason your start was, it was the act which introduced the representative government. But are you liking this start? No. Why? So if he adds, it was an act which introduced separate electorate. Okay. This can be, okay. How is this? There were series of acts. No. No?
We can start like this and do that. There are a series of acts.
Is there a need? You can rethink. You think it's an impressive start? Examiner सो जाएगा. Series of act, okay. ठीक है. तो ये I don't think series of act. Why don't you talk about the act itself? Fine, his is not that interesting, but better than yours, because he is talking to the point. This is comparatively more interesting because he tried to incorporate the background also. This act, significance of India for British Empire. You liked it? No, this is also a big story, boring.
Government of India Act represents a conflict between rising Indian aspiration as well as vested interest of colony.
Rising. This is a very confident start because you have summed up the entire thing, but it will be a good start if you have enough material to write inside also, because same thing you will have to repeat. Okay. So now which introduction should we take? This one? Government of India Act came, that can be a fine, or government in general studies you can go for very direct features, you can explain the features also and then you can analyze. Okay, so I think we can take this. Or the question is neither it aimed or neither it could offer nor it offered. We can also start or we can say that if I say that Government of India Act has been one of the most controversial. Can we start from here? Okay. So we can combine this and this. This is a good start. Okay. Fine. All of you agree? चलो आज के लिए इनका आंसर लिखते हैं. लिखो. ठीक है. तो we can write that. Yeah. She wants to start with the partition of Bengal and this that Government of India Act came. Partition of Bengal, formation of Muslim League. वो लिखोगे कि ये ज़्यादा सही है. इतना बहुत है ना भाई, उतना भी नहीं चाहिए. ठीक है. When you say in the backdrop of the rising nationalist consciousness, it is fine. अरे एक ही में सब कुछ थोड़ी एकदम स्टार्टर से चालू करते हैं कि खाना वाना लो जाओ खाओ. ठीक है. लेट्स हैव अ स्टार्टर, धीरे से चलेंगे. ठीक है. चलो इतना तो बता दिया ना, इससे क्या और सब कुछ इंट्रोडक्शन ही में लिख दोगे तो ठीक है. तो ऐसे वाले स्टार्ट मत करना है, बहुत थकाऊ स्टार्ट है. देयर वेयर सीरीज ऑफ एक्ट्स. ठीक है. चलो लिखो. तो फर्स्ट इंट्रोडक्शन में वी कैन से दैट गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट केम in the backdrop of the rising nationalist consciousness, challenging the future prospects of British rule in India, comma, considered as what? Jewel in the crown. थोड़ा ड्रामेटिक हो. Jewel in the crown. Full stop. Right. It has jewel in the crown मतलब महारानी के मुकुट का कोहिनूर, मतलब बाकी सबसे जो इम्पोर्टेंट कॉलोनी थी वो इंडिया थी. Whose statement is this? Churchill's or Curzon? हाँ? Curzon, हाँ शायद Curzon. चर्चिल का तो था कि if India will go then the sun will set. ठीक है. तो right, it has been extremely controversial because it has introduced separate, write inverted commas, separate communal electorate which is considered as the seed of partition and the continuing legacy of communalism in India, in the subcontinent. Continuing legacy of communalism in the subcontinent. After that, what should we write? What? You have to now write the features of the act. ठीक है? या उसका थोड़ा सा historical background you can say. Write next paragraph. Write Indian National Congress. नेक्स्ट पैराग्राफ से हमेशा, और पैराग्राफ कहाँ से स्टार्ट करा करो? 20 से, ठीक है, जैसे तुमने वहाँ से किया है, 20 से स्टार्ट करना होता है, राइट? इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस हैज बीन डिमांडिंग द रिस्पॉन्सिबल गवर्नमेंट elected by Indians and the dominion status. Dominion status. Dominion status का मतलब होता है not fully independent but like other British colonies, Australia, Canada, right to self-government, not coming out of empire, remaining a part of empire, but enjoying the autonomy. Is this clear? Right. The act, right, next paragraph, the act can be considered as progressive as it was the first act to introduce the elected legislative council, comma, but at the same time it was regressive in the sense it aimed at rolling back the rising nationalist consciousness, right? The devolution, right? The act was comparatively more progressive at provincial level because at the provincial level official majority had gone. ऐसा था क्या provincial level में? हाँ आई yesterday आई हाँ इस एक्ट में या 1869 में okay had gone right. It was also progressive as it has allowed members to move resolutions on the budget and with the exception of few subjects comma few subjects comma discussion on any matters of public interest. ठीक है, तो एक्ट के सारे फीचर्स देना ज़रूरी है इसमें. अब इससे ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं. नाउ यू कैन कम टू दिस क्वेश्चन. इट नाइदर satisfied nor it aimed to satisfy it. Right? Next paragraph. Though it can be considered as a big constitutional advancement, so far, yet it failed to satisfy the aspirations because there was no responsible government and instead of popular government, comma, the act provided nothing more than, right inverted commas, benevolent despotism. Benevolent despotism. ठीक है, तो right separate electorate was another reason for the rejection of the act by the prominent leaders. Right, next. देखो कुछ शब्द हैं जिनको यूज़ किया जाता है. तो ब्रिटिश वाले लोग कहते थे कि इंडिया में या जो बारबेरियन लोग हैं वो खुद को रूल नहीं कर पाते, तो उनके लिए डेमोक्रेसी अच्छी चीज़ नहीं है, तो उनके लिए डिस्पोटिज्म होना चाहिए. अब व्हाट इज़ डिस्पोटिज्म? रूल ऑफ वन पर्सन, किंग टाइप, बट इट शुड बी बेनोवेलेंट. It should be in the interest of these people and should not be exploitative. तो जैसे ये सब white man's burden, benevolent despotism, these are like regular words which are used. You can use in the simple language also. ठीक है? इस एक्ट में नहीं यूज किया गया है. Actually, British कहते थे दे हैव, जैसे व्हाट इज योर ऑप्शन पॉलिटिकल साइंस, तो अभी वी विल स्टडी जे.एस. मिल. तो जे.एस. मिल ने हैज गिवन द थियरी दैट फॉर द पीपल लिविंग इन कॉलोनीज benevolent despotism and not democracy should be introduced. तो एक मुहावरा टाइप बन गया, तो लोग उसको यूज करने लगे. तो बस एक सिंबॉलिक वर्ड्स हैं. अभी समझ में आया? ओके. सो नाउ द सेकेंड पार्ट दे कुड नॉट. सो राइट it is right next, it is to be understood that India held the most important position among all colonies comma rightly called as jewel in the crown, jewel in the crown, and Britishers could not compromise with the fact, comma, India going out of their hand. Right. This, they only wanted to maintain the impression of reforms to create divisions within Indian society. Right. Hence, introduction of separate electorate along with representative institutions was much needed act of balancing. ठीक है, right? Hence, neither they did nor they could afford to do so. Hence, neither they did nor they could afford to do so. ठीक है? तो ठीक है आंसर. 150 में कैसे लिखोगे ये तो हमने बताया, ये याद रहेगा तुम्हें. तुम लोग 80 तक नहीं लिख पाओगे अभी, तुम दोबारा ठीक है, इतना पढ़ के जाओगे तो इतना कर पाओगे. ठीक है. मेन क्या है, ट्राई टू लर्न हाउ टू राइट, हाउ टू प्रेजेंट द आइडियाज. फर्स्ट knowing is important, but presentation, these every word you must be knowing. But you thought I will use jewel in the crown, I will use benevolent despotism in the answer. So you have the information, put it on the piece of paper. Underline भी कर देना, ठीक है. ड्रेसिंग भी कर देना, कोई दिक्कत नहीं. Is that clear? समझ लो आंसर बनाना मतलब एक अच्छा सा डिश बनाना है और एग्जामिनर को खिलाने के बाद उसको मज़ा आना चाहिए, बढ़िया सा बनाए. हाँ, व्हाट अबाउट द वर्ड लिमिट? विच राइटिंग? See, show that and see. First of all, you change the pen. Huh? I think pen also makes it. Oh my! Which language is this? Let's just see. Which language is this? Huh? Which? You're from which state? Acha, that's why you combine north, south, east and west, because it is looking little bit Dravid, little bit, I don't know which language. How come this language? And what is your background educational?
I am pursuing law.
Pursuing law. Okay, if you had been pursuing medical, we could have understood कि भाई दवा लिख के मरीज मर गया तो कह दो ये लिखो. ठीक है, ऐसी लैंग्वेज का तो फिर see if you will write like this, no point giving the exam, frankly speaking, because nobody will read. This is the worst possible writing I have ever seen. You must take a, if you really want to go for civil services, you must join some writing class. नहीं सच में, मतलब I have never seen. तुम पास होते गए, लॉ तक पहुंच गए. ठीक है, किस यूनिवर्सिटी से पहुंचे लॉ? डीयू से पहुंच गए? ऐसा नहीं लिखते होगे हैं? वो तो है, बट ऐसे ही लिखते थे एग्जाम में. ओह माय गॉड. देखो मतलब दिस इज वेरी वेरी सीरियस प्रॉब्लम. कई लोगों की इज नॉट दैट गुड, बट ऐसी किसी की नहीं है राइटिंग, ऐसी है ही नहीं किसी की राइटिंग. ठीक है, तुमको अगर सच में यूपीएससी करना है तुम राइटिंग क्लास करो जाके, और ऐसी किसी की राइटिंग इस टाइप की. यू whatever amount of learning you do, it's a competition. You can put information, everything, but presentation, you must join some writing class for 1 or 2 months. Otherwise the entire effort you are making is waste. अगर कोई पढ़ ही नहीं पाए, पहला तो somebody should know how to, मतलब तुम्हारा पढ़ पाए. सेकेंड, अच्छा लगना भी चाहिए ना. तो अगर अच्छा नहीं है तो कम से कम somebody should be able to read what you have written. तो उसका तो कोई एक्सक्यूज नहीं है. फाइन. सब में सब लिखना होता है, एक ही फॉर्मूला है. यू स्टार्ट विद अ कॉन्सेप्ट, इंट्रोडक्शन, एग्जाम्पल. डोंट वरी फॉर ऑल दिस थिंग्स. चलो अब नेक्स्ट. कितने वर्ड्स का आता है जीएस में? हाँ, 250 भी आता है. तो ऐसे यू कैन नॉट इंक्रीज द इंट्रोडक्शन. मेन है कि मेन बॉडी में एक्सप्लेन इट फर्दर एंड डोंट ट्राई टू आर्टिफिशियली स्ट्रेच. ठीक है, व्हाट इफ यू थिंक वर्ड लिमिट इज 250 बट आई कुड कंप्लीट व्हाट आई वांट टू से इन 200, इट्स ओके. नोबडी इज गोइंग टू सिट एंड काउंट. हाँ, समझ गए. अब नेक्स्ट लिखो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट 1919. विच एक्ट इज नोन एज, और नेहरू कॉल्ड ऑल ब्रेक्स नो, क्या था वो, कार विद ऑल ब्रेक्स. हाँ, with no brakes, something like that. Which act? 19 or 35? 35. 35. Okay. So now Government of India Act 1919. What are the salient features? Don't write in your notes first. Understand. What are the salient features of this act? Pardon? Diarchy. Diarchy at the provincial level and bicameral legislature. But this act is primarily known for diarchy. Okay? So, Government of India Act 1919. What is the background of Government of India Act 1919? World War. First World War, and Indians played the role, and so they thought that maybe the Britishers will give something in reward. Okay. Besides, in the First World War, Woodrow Wilson, the US President, also talked about protecting democracy and the rights of the people for national self-determination. Then something to do with Rowlatt Act, dissatisfaction. Okay, next is what you can say the Home Rule movement, started by both Tilak and Annie Besant. Advent of Gandhi. Okay, so that dissatisfaction started growing. Okay, so pardon? Jallianwala Bagh, and so this type of environment was there. So Britishers, and then Lucknow Pact. Okay, so dissatisfaction of Muslims also. So Britishers thought that things are going out of hand and something should be done, at least to appease some sections of the society. And it was again very important to check the rising tide of nationalism. So Government of India Act, it has introduced diarchy. Okay. So basically the system of administration remained unitary only. Okay. But they divided the subjects into the central subjects and the provincial subjects. Now the provincial subjects were further divided into the reserved and transferred subjects. Okay. Again, changes were more advanced at the provincial level, reserved and transferred subjects, and governor was the main institution administering reserved subject with the help of the officials and administering the transferred subjects with the help of the ministers who are elected, indirectly elected, direct people, but there was no institution of collective responsibility. Ministers were responsible to the governor and not to the legislative council. Okay, and the classification of the subjects between reserved and transferred was very arbitrary. For example, if irrigation was a reserved subject, agriculture was transferred. So thus making the ministers dependent on the governor and the officials. Okay? And officials were non-cooperative because the ministers were not their bosses. Okay? Who was their boss? Governor. So diarchy was something like the Delhi Sarkar, okay, where if ministers can have a good equation with the lieutenant governor, it's fine. Is that clear? And again, no bill could be introduced without their consent. Bureaucracy is not cooperative. So the scheme was designed in such a way that it was bound to fail. And the work of the government cannot be divided into such a watertight compartments. This is very arbitrary. Hardly any chances of success of such system when there is no faith between officials and the representatives. Okay, so that is why it failed to satisfy the aspirations and resulted into Indian National Congress accepting the resolution of Gandhi's non-cooperation movement, that now the constitutional advancements, and it is useless to ask about the constitutional advancement and you have to go for the direct action. तो अब कुछ नहीं होगा, जाके गवर्नर के घर बैठना है, ठीक है, कुछ नहीं, same situation. Is this clear? So it was bound to fail. And diarchy, it was so much criticized. There were some good elements here, but it was so much criticized that it became fashionable to criticize diarchy. And after that, again, gradually the aim of Indian National Congress became Purna Swaraj and not just the dominion status. Okay? Besides this, Government of India Act 1919, it continued the process of creating the divisions by expanding the separate electorate to other communities also. Okay? So there were few good things with the diarchy also. So the Indians, they got some first-hand experience. That experience will later on help when you will form your own constitution. And yes, within a very short time, the ministers, they have taken care of, or they have performed some good task also. So in terms of education, and obviously now this itself has been an indicator that Indians will require, or British government has to bring some real change. This is not going to satisfy. You have understood this Government of India Act, and in exam they will primarily ask the working of Government of India Act. Okay? यहाँ और फालतू यहाँ सब एजुकेशन, हेल्थ, कमाने वाले सब यहाँ, लैंड, डीडीए, ठीक है, और खर्चे वाले सब यहाँ, हेल्थ, एजुकेशन, बिल्कुल समझ लो दिल्ली सरकार वाली सिनेरियो है, ठीक है. तो टू फ्रस्ट्रेट द पॉपुलर and to show that they are not fit, ultimately they were bound to leave all these things. ठीक है? So that was Government of India Act. So you can right? Yeah. Ministers were elected. क्योंकि इलेक्शन तो मॉडलेमेंटो से ही स्टार्ट हो गया ना. From among the elected members of the legislative council at the provincial level, ministers were picked and chosen by the governor. It is like associating Indians in the every branch of administration. That was one of the declared aim. Central structure, they have ended the council and they have introduced the bicameral legislature. Council concept gone, bicameral legislature. So first was Council of State, second is Legislative Assembly. Okay. So now I'll just explain Government of India Act 1919. So here you can just write the background. First, you can write First World War, comma, Indians contributed to the British war efforts, comma, hence there was expectations of some sort of acknowledgement by the government. Next, write the then American President Woodrow Wilson called for promotion of democracy and recognition of the right of self-determination. Next, the political conditions emerging out of war. For example, the dissatisfaction of Muslims because of the manner of treatment to Caliph, CALIPH, Caliph. ओके और टर्की का जो ट्रीटमेंट था, ठीक है. राइट. नेक्स्ट, द मिजरीज फेस्ड बाय पीपल बिकॉज ऑफ वॉर. Miseries faced by people because of war. Next, Government of India was asked to pay £1 million to war funds. War funds. Next, Home Rule movement by Tilak and Annie Besant. Comma. Tilak and Annie Besant, comma, right. The emergence of Gandhi, comma, protests against Rowlatt Act, Rowlatt Acts, and the Jallianwala Bagh tragedy. So ultimately the environment was becoming quite explosive and there was need to pacify this. Okay. Now you write Declaration of Secretary of State Montfort ना क्या Montague Chelmsford reform तो Montague हुआ ना Montague 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 what was the declaration ठीक है तो declaration में they have highlighted what is the aim of the British. Right. First, the aim of the government is to associate Indians Montague है ना declaration year लिख लो 1917 to associate Indians in every branch of administration. Second point, development of self-governing institutions. Next, progressive realization of the responsible government. As an responsible government in India. These were the three aims they declared, and so it was thought that something good is coming. Now write the principles in the act. What were the principles in the act? इसमें लिखो right at the local level. Right, as far as possible complete popular control in local bodies. Complete popular control in local bodies. Local में ज़्यादा. Next, provincial level, provinces. Right. Provinces are going to be the domain where earliest steps for the responsible government will be taken progressively in a matlab slowly. Now union level, right, no change comma, right, must remain completely responsible towards the British government and the authority should remain indisputable. The authority of British government should remain indisputable. Means they were very cautious introducing anything at the union level, anything in the sense, nothing where the Indian should have say, but at provincial level progressive experimentation will take place. There is no big threat from the local governments. That was the approach in this act. Okay, ये समझ में आया फॉर्मूला क्या था किस लेवल के लिए. तो अभी भी they are going very slow. Now you write changes introduced at the union level या central level. Changes introduced at the central level. First, write the structure of the administration remained unitary. Right, legislative council was replaced by bicameral legislature. Bicameral legislature. ठीक है. तो what, right, ऐसे legislature bicameral लिख दो, 2 houses. First is Council of States. Council of States, and second Legislative Assembly. अब इससे ज़्यादा ऐसा कोई फैक्ट ना तो प्रीलिम्स ना मेंस के लिए याद रखने की ज़रूरत है. ठीक है, काउंसिल ऑफ स्टेट्स में स्टेट्स के रिप्रेजेंटेटिव और उसमें लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल में पीपल्स रिप्रेजेंटेटिव एंड इन 9 and they are going to be directly elected, but there will also be nominated members. So I am giving you the strength of the council, but neither for prelims nor mains any need to remember. Okay, so council of states का strength you can write 60 members, out of which 34 elected. Next, Legislative Assembly, 144 members, 104 elected, rest official and nominated. This was change in the legislative structure. Pardon? Princely states के council of states में